We've all heard about the gladiatorial battles of ancient Rome, where fighters fought till the last breath for the entertainment of the masses. Thankfully, humanity has long since left such brutal practices in the past. Yet our love for combat and spectacle hasn't faded. Today we get our adrenaline fix from watching professional fights.
With just 90 seconds left on the clock, he knocks down.
In the world of combat sports, mixed martial arts reign supreme, with the UFC standing as its giant and ultimate pinnacle. Throughout its history, the UFC has hosted countless memorable and historic battles.
Clock is brought to you by Macdonald.
But the ones that truly remain etched in the hearts of fans are those gladiatorial clashes, where fighters, drenched in blood, relentlessly charge at each other, showcasing their warrior spirit and indomitable will.
It was one of those fights where you really felt the heat of the battle. There wasn't much time to think, it was just all reaction.
Today, we're looking back at 5 unforgettable UFC fights that will keep you on the edge of your seat until the final bell. Joshua Van, a name that at the beginning of 2025 meant little even to the most dedicated UFC fans. At just 24 years old, this guy had only recently cracked into the flyweight rankings, sitting at number 12. But fate sometimes loves to throw dramatic curveballs. When one of the fighters needed a replacement, Van got the call to step in against Brendan Royval, a recognized Octagon veteran and ranked number 1 flyweight fighter. Short notice, massive difference in experience. Everything pointed to the young fighter getting a tough lesson from his more seasoned opponent. Experts predicted a confident victory for Royval, as the difference in class seemed obvious. Boy, oh boy, how wrong they were. There was no skill difference whatsoever, just 2 absolutely reckless warriors ready to tear each other apart. From the very first seconds, it became clear that Van had no intention of respecting his opponent's reputation. Royval, accustomed to an aggressive style, met a true mirror reflection of his own boldness in the young fighter. The guys immediately went to war, forgetting about feeling each other out and caution. Hooks, uppercuts, low kicks, everything flew with incredible speed and power. They exchanged heavy combinations, each trying to turn the tide of the fight in their favor, but both held incredibly strong. The second round turned into absolute hell. Both fighters seemingly forgot about defense, turning the bout into mutual destruction. They pounded each other without stopping, without rest, pure violence in its rawest form. The fighters went toe-to-toe. It was impossible to determine who was winning this meat grinder. By the third round, the fighters' faces had turned into a mess, but they kept moving forward, kept striking. The entire round passed in absolutely even warfare. Both men were dishing out and taking punishment with equal intensity. But literally 10 seconds before the final bell, Joshua Van threw a perfect shot that sent the veteran into a knockdown. Those final moments decided everything. The young fighter secured the victory by split decision, announcing himself loudly in the MMA world and proving that inside the octagon, there's no insurmountable difference in experience when you have a fighter's heart. This thriller took place in December 2016 at UFC 206, when veteran Cub Swanson, who had faced numerous legends of the sport and at a time were ranked 4th in the featherweight division, stepped into the octagon against rising prospect and 11th ranked Doo Ho Choi. The young Korean sought to prove he was worthy of such a significant step up in competition, taking control early by countering Swanson's low kick with a precise straight right to the head. Choi then delivered a flurry of knees in the clinch, though he couldn't complete the takedown. Instead, he seized control of Swanson's head, landing more knees in the clinch. Veteran Cub fought back, and the fight turned into a chaotic exchange where the initiative shifted back and forth like a pendulum. Despite Choi's confidence and aggression, the seasoned American remained calm, employing his trademark diverse striking, from blitzing combinations to spinning back kicks. The second round was pure chaos. The two fighters abandoned the strategy, unloading everything in their arsenals. Swanson began landing explosive strikes, dropping Choi briefly, but the Korean rebounded almost instantly. Smelling blood, American went all in for the finish, but burned himself out, allowing Choi to recover and even rock him with a counter overhand. Warriors exchanged furious punches at the fence, with Swanson even throwing a capoeira kick and taunting Choi with his hands down before launching into a brutal assault. Despite the relentless beating, Choi hung on, even landing a knee that wobbled Swanson at the end of the round. In the third, Korean stunned Swanson twice with crisp punches to the head. Swanson, desperate, attempted takedowns but lacked the energy to complete them. Choi capitalized on this, landing clean shots on the visibly exhausted American. A failed back take from Choi gave American the opportunity to dominate the position. Both fighters, running on fumes, stood up again and threw everything they had, and even more in the final seconds. Good old Cub even managed to drop Choi with a stunning spinning back fist and unleashed a barrage of strikes, but the Korean's unbreakable will helped him to make to the final bell. Cub Swanson won via unanimous decision, and the fight was immediately inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Both fighters poured their hearts into this battle, leaving a lasting legacy. However, such wars don't come without consequences. After this iconic bout, their careers took a downward turn. 8 years later, they still compete, alternating between victories and losses. On that unforgettable night of clashing wills, something within both fighters broke, and they've never been the same since, having left their peak selves in that legendary fight. Yet their gladiator hearts remain undeniable, and their UFC 206 clash stands as a timeless masterpiece.
What a fight. Cub Swanson, first of all, congratulations on winning one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. That was just an incredible display of heart and talent and courage and creativity from both of you guys.
Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker.
Dustin Poirier, I'm gonna smash your face in. Meet me in New Zealand, 2020, and I'm gonna end you.
On June 27, 2020, Dustin Poirier were looking for a redemption after a loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov by headlining UFC on ESPN 12 and facing the newly minted lightweight top 5 contender Dan Hooker. At the time, the Diamond was regarded as an experienced veteran and a true elite of the lightweight division. However, fans who expected Dustin to dispatch his opponent with ease were in for a surprise.
Probably I'm going to look to strike and pick him apart on the feet, and I don't think that is a secret to anybody.
This was nothing short of legendary. A brutal and grueling war that tested the limits of endurance and will. In the opening round, both fighters gauged each other with calculated strikes, but there was no hesitation. Every punch had purpose. But New Zealander appeared sharper, landing bigger volume of strikes with precision and speed, gaining an early edge. In the second round, Poirier decided to turn up the heat, unleashing heavy combinations to remind the hangman who the veteran was. The round descended into a chaotic brawl, with both fighters trading heaviest blows against the fence. Poirier's relentless body kicks and Hooker's unyielding aggression painted a vivid picture of two gladiators refusing to back down. In the final moments, the hangman managed to stun the veteran, but were unable to finish him as the bell signaled the end.
Nice. Clean domination of Hooker. Hooker goes to the body. Nice takedown.
That gave him a lifeline, but those body shots.
Into the body and now Poirier with a counter.
Oh my gosh. Look at this. Oh my God.
Poirier in real trouble.
Wow.
The next 2 rounds was a display of pure grit as the fighters just put everything they had to take heads off of each other. New Zealander found success with hand combinations and takedowns, only to get caught to Poirier's infamous silly gilly. But Hooker somehow managed to survive this moment. Exhaustion set in, yet the action didn't falter. After that sequence, the Hangman even managed to take Dustin down multiple times, threatening with a rear naked choke himself. But Poirier responded with ferocious ground and pound and submission attempts of his own. Hooker's resilience was on full display as he managed to escape near the fight-ending triangle choke. The final round was a testament to their lion hearts. Both of them summoned the last reserves of theirs energy to make it to the final bell.
Smash my face. You gonna fight Gaethje tonight? You fight me? Hey, you're on the right track. Keep working, all right? Hey, look at this. Keep working, all right? They're ready for a round 6.
When the dust settled, Poirier's unanimous decision win has shown that dogs still can compete against young and hungry lions as Hooker, while the Hangman finally got the admiration of one of the sport's most relentless warriors. Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum.
Man, the Kelvin Gastelum stylebender fight was a shootout.
Best title fight for me I've ever watched. Ever.
It's one of the best fights of all time.
Has to be.
It has to be.
In 2019, with UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker sidelined due to injury, the organization were forced to set up an interim title fight between American Kelvin Gastelum and undefeated Nigerian phenom Israel Adesanya. At the time, the last stylebender boasted an impressive 16-0 record and had recently defeated the legend of this sport, Anderson Silva, rapidly gaining popularity for his flashy and unorthodox style. Their clash took place on April 13, 2019 at UFC 236, producing one of the most unforgettable title fights in MMA history. From the opening bell, Gastelum closed the distance, forcing Adesanya into a firefight. Kelvin's relentless pressure and precision boxing found their mark, staggering the typically elusive Adesanya in the first round. However, Adesanya adapted, using his anthropometric advantages to punish Gastelum with sniper-like counters and stinging kicks that began to shift the momentum. By the third round, the fight had become a technical masterpiece interwoven with moments of raw chaos. Kelvin's resilience shone as he absorbed Stylebender's pinpoint strikes as it was nothing, retaliating with powerful overhands and body shots that kept the New Zealander wary. The fourth round was a turning point. Adesanya finally began to find his rhythm, showcasing all the beauty of his striking mastery. However, Kelvin kept trying to press forward, landing punches in close quarters and threatening with takedown attempts. Late in the round, the Mexican-American even managed to rock Izzy with a head kick, but Adesanya's composure and defensive instincts helped him to make it to the next round. Before the final round, the cameras captured one of the most iconic moments in MMA history. A bruised and exhausted Israel Adesanya, locking eyes with his opponent, muttered words meant only for himself, but destined for legend. "You're not gonna beat me. I'm prepared to die." In the fifth and final round, the last stylebender went all in, delivering a career-defining performance. Exhausted to the death, but still as determined as at the beginning of the fight, he managed to drop Gastelum multiple times with sniper-like shots, including a flurry of elbows and punches that seemed almost otherworldly. Bloodied and battered, Kelvin showed his Mexican heart and refused to quit, embodying the warrior spirit until the last second of the fight. When the final horn sounded, Izzy emerged victorious via unanimous decision, claiming the interim title in one of the greatest fights in the UFC history. As it always happens in that kind of bouts, both men left a part of themselves in the octagon that night, delivering a performance that will forever stand as a testament to their heart, skill, and unyielding determination.
Gastelum Adesanya is one of the greatest fights I've ever seen in my life. Israel Adesanya became a star tonight. People are going to be talking about that fight for a month. You know what I mean? You know how bad Israel wanted to win that fight? You know how bad Gastelum wanted to win that fight? Watch the fight. That's how bad they both wanted it.
Robbie Lawler versus Rory Macdonald 2.
You mentioned another fight that we've all seen as fans, and I knew when I watched him at Bellator that he wasn't the same guy anymore. That's Rory Macdonald. And now he's in the PFL looking for answers that aren't there anymore.
And here we are, at a fight considered by many fans to be the most thrilling and blood-soaked battle in the history of professional combat sports. Lawler entered the bout as the reigning welterweight champion, defending his belt for the first time. Macdonald, his determined challenger, sought to avenge a split decision loss from their first encounter. Their rematch took place 2 years later at UFC 189. Both fighters, already familiar with each other's styles, started cautiously, testing the waters with jabs and mid-kicks. With a single precise jab, Robbie shattered Macdonald's nose, a devastating blow that would ultimately decide the fate of the fight. But even though Macdonald tried to follow the game plan and took the first 2 rounds, but by the 3rd round, the battle escalated into chaos. Rory landed a clean high kick that rocked Lawler, leaving the champion staggering backward. Smelling the blood, Red King unleashed a relentless barrage of punches, elbows, and knees, forcing Robbie to dig deep to survive. The crowd erupted as the action reached a fever pitch. Both men were covered with blood, with their faces bearing the gruesome evidence of war. In the 4th round, Red King pressed forward, trying to finish what he started, undeterred by fatigue. His speed, accuracy, and technique remained sharp as he battered Lawler against the cage with everything he had. In this chaos, Macdonald even managed to land a picture-perfect Superman punch. As the horn signaled the end of the round, one of the most iconic moments in MMA history unfolded. Both fighters, utterly exhausted and drenched in blood, stood in the center of the octagon, not just staring into each other's eyes, but into each other's souls. Neither was willing to back down.
He was like, he wanted to kill me. I remember when he looked at me. I've seen him in other fights. He stares people down like that and he intimidates them. But I don't like being intimidated by people. Even though I was gassed and all I wanted to do was sit on that bench, I wasn't gonna let him just walk all over me, you know, like stare me down and make me go sit down on a bench like a bitch. So I was gonna stay there as long as I had to until the ref separated it.
This had transcended sport. It was a gladiatorial battle of will. The crowd erupted, knowing the final round was imminent. In the break, Lawler's corner fired him up.
Lion, you're a lion, right? Yes, sir. Robbie, he's busted up. You're a lion. You're the champ.
Even considering the fact that Red King had it 4-0 coming to the final round, Rory's will finally broke. Ruthless landed a crushing blow to Macdonald's already broken nose. Unable to endure the pain any longer, Rory covered up and collapsed to his back. Lawler rushed in for the finish, but the referee, understanding the situation, stopped the fight. Robbie Lawler had defended his title, paying an extraordinary price to do so. It was a clash that encompassed every cinematic genre: action, thriller, horror, drama. It was a truly legendary battle where both fighters left their hearts in the blood-soaked octagon. After this war, neither man's career was the same. Lawler managed to defend his title one more time before his decline began. Macdonald's trajectory followed a similar path, which is no surprise. Both fighters left everything they had in that unforgettable fight. The fights we've explored aren't just etched into the annals of UFC history, they're legends that transcend the octagon. These bouts, defined by heart, grit, and sheer willpower, remind us why mixed martial arts captivate millions of fans around the globe. Each of these clashes tells a story of warriors pushing their limits and creating moments that stay with us forever. What do you think? Which fight do you like more? What other fights should be included in this compilation? Leave your opinions in the comments below.